Welcome, folks, to Rambam. We are in the eighth book out of 14, um, learning the laws of the Holy Temple. Let's get right into it. Started yesterday with chapter 1, the laws Beis Bechira. Beis Bechira means the house of God's choosing, the house that God chose. And that's, of course, in Jerusalem. Well, we went at length yesterday. Second. Give me a moment. Okay. Halacha number 1. Okay. The altar is to be consecrated in a very precise location, which may never be changed. Here's the altar. This is the Holy of Holies. This is the Holies. Right. And this is outside now. This is the altar over here with the ramp. Okay. That's its position. So the altar, in the very precise location, which may never be changed as it's written, and the altar for the burnt offerings of Israel. Isaac was prepared as a sacrifice on the temple's future site, right? That's where he was brought on the altar. As it says, go to the land of Moriah. And Moriah is referring to Temple Mount, Jerusalem. The Chronicles, it says, then Solomon began to build a house of the Lord in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord appeared to David, his father, in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Arnon the Jebusite. Arnon HaYebusi. Okay. It is universally accepted the place which David and Solomon built the altar, the threshing floor of Arnon, is the location where Abraham built the altar on which he prepared Isaac for sacrifice. Right, that's in other words, we don't have it from a verse that clearly states it, but that's how we understand what, as accepted, universally accepted. It's a
Don't read the footnote number 3.
okay.
Actually fascinating.
Noah built an altar on that location when he left the ark. It was also the place of the altar on which Cain and Abel brought sacrifices. Similarly, Adam, the first man, offered a sacrifice there when he was created at that very spot. So our sages said the man was created from this place where he would find atonement, right? And the altar brings atonement. Excuse me, right? That's where you bring animals there that to replace the animal soul of the person who was the cause of the sin of a person. So you bring a sin offering on the altar that brings atonement for the individual. Number 3, the dimensions of the altar must be very precise. Its design has been passed down from one to another over the course of the generations. The altar built by the exiles during returning from Babylon was constructed according to the design of the altar that was built in the Messianic age. We may not increase or reduce its dimensions. Number 4, 3 prophets returned to Eretz Israel with the people.
That's the one. That's weird.
Yeah.
Desperate.
3 prophets returned. One attested to the site of the altar, the second to its dimensions, the third attested to the halacha permitting all sacrifices to be offered on that altar, even though the temple itself was not built there yet. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Those are the 3. The altar constructed by Moses, right? Which that's in the desert, right? Here we're talking about the second holy temple, which was in the year 400 and something before the Common Era.
Yeah, here. They're finishing on.
Oh, okay, great.
It's getting really wet.
Hmm?
Maybe. That's why they were so.
Right. Okay. The altar constructed by Solomon, and that erected by the returning exiles, right? The second one that they built, and that to be built in the Messianic era, which is coming, are all 10 cubits high. This is a cubit, a foot and a half. Okay. So 10 cubits is 15 feet high. Though the Torah states its height will be 3 cubits, that refers to the surface on which the wood for the sacrifices are arranged. So here, this is 1 cubit, this is 5 cubits, this is 3 cubits, and 1 cubit. So 1 and 1 is 2, and 5 is 7, and 3 is 10. 10 cubits, you can see in the picture. Okay, that's the height. Now, the width, the length, and the breadth of the altar by the returning exiles is similar to the one built in missing. And it was 32 cubits. 32 cubits at the base. This way. And it went up, it went into 30, then to 28, and then to 24. Okay. Now he's going to give that. The 10 cubits, the altar's height, we're not measured in a consistent manner. Sometimes the measure of the cubit was 6 handbreadths, while other cases, the cubit was 5 handbreadths. This is a handbreadth. So is it 5 or 6 of these that make up one of these? Okay. In all cases, the cubits mentioned in the temple are 6 handbreadths. 6. So, okay, the height of the entire altar is 58 handbreadths.
Here's a nice little illustration.
Yeah.
Artist.
Yeah, you see it here.
That's a Rambam.
The altar's dimensions.
Rambam drove through this.
No, I don't think so. The altar's dimensions and design were as follows: 5 handbreadths up, 5 handbreadths in from the step called the base. Thus, the remaining area of the altar was 30, right? Right, 5. And then so you can see in the picture over here. I hope that's somewhat clear. You see on the base that it's wider, 32 at that part. Then okay. Thus, the remaining area in the altar was 30 cubits. And the 2 handbreadths of by 30 cubits and 2 handbreadths.
Fine.
30 handbreadths further up and 5 handbreadths further in. So then it went 5 handbreadths further up and then 5 handbreadths. Oh, sorry, 35 up 30. So that would be by 6 would be 5 amas, as we mentioned. And then going in, you went in 5 handbreadths, right? Which then would bring you
1 cubit is 5 handbreadths. 5 cubits is 30. Shouldn't it be 25?
no, because yeah, sometimes you say 6, sometimes you say 5. That's why we have 28 cubits and 4 handbreadths by 28 cubits and 4 handbreadths. Okay, go up another 18 handbreadths, which is 3. If you do by the 6, I'm doing it by the 6. He's not doing by the 6, he's doing by the, yeah, he's doing by the 6. Right? In place of a hollow rectangle structure, each corner of the surface that's creating the altars, 4 corners. Here you have that picture again. Here's the, right. Those are the corners. Here you only have 2 because it's only two-dimensional, right? The area encompassing the horns was 1 cubit by 1 cubit on all sides. Similar to the space for the priest to walk was a cubit on all sides, right? This is a cubit again. It's all inside. That's the surface of the wood of the sacrifices. So it's 24 cubits and 4 handbreadths by 24 cubits and 4 handbreadths, a square. Okay. Each horn was 5 handbreadths high. And the area of each horn was a cubit by a cubit. So it was high by, but the length and breadth was a cubit by a cubit, like this. Okay. All 4 horns were hollow. They were like horns of the altar. They served like receptacles. Thus, the surface of, on which the wood of the for the sacrifices was arranged was 18 handbreadths above the surrounding ledge. Half of the altar's height was 29 handbreadths, beginning below to the end of the surrounding ledge downward. Because it's 58 altogether, so 29 was the halfway mark. A scarlet band is girded around the middle of the altar, 6 handbreadths below the surrounding ledge, separated between the blood to the cast down on the upper portion of the altar, and the blood to be sprinkled on the lower portion of the altar. So you had a scarlet band in the middle that would then be on top or below. Right? Then sometimes you have to sprinkle the blood above the line and sometimes below. Thus, the distance from the earth to the surface of the wood of the sacrifices range was a handbreadth less than 9 cubits.
Wow. Wow, please.
Shkoyach. Right. And remember the horns are 1 cubit high, so that gives us 10 cubits altogether, right? But the surface was at 9 on top of the altar. The legend circling the altar on all 4 sides, the base did not. The base encompassed the entire northern. Here is the north and the western over here, and consume 1 cubit of the south over here. And 1 cubit on the east side. Yeah, from here. The southeast corner and the altar did not have a base. Right, this southeast did not have a base. Base meaning over here that this is where the Kohanim were able to walk around. 1 second. Ledges at what's At what level? He didn't say. Let's see further. Okay. Shut these doors. Thus, the southeast. Okay. 11. There are two holes in the southwest corner. Here's south. Sorry, this is southwest. Over here, two holes, you see?
That's where it's splashed above.
Right. Resembling two thin nostrils, they were called sheetim. The blood, which was poured into the altar, would run off through them and be mixed together with the drainage canal in that corner. From there, it would flow out to the Kidron River. So it was connected down below, and at that point, to a drainage system that would be then connected to underground, the tributary of the Kidron River that would flow out to ultimately.
They use that as fertilizer. Sold as fertilizer.
Yeah, it was sold as fertilizer, exactly. Below in the floor, on the corner of the altar, was a place, a cubit by cubit, covered by a block of marble with a ring affixed to it. They would descend there to the sheetim and clean them, because the blood would coagulate and cause them to become clogged. So they had to clean it. Below the floor of the corner of the altar was a place with a cubit by cubit covered by a block of marble. Okay, fair. Sorry. This had to clean it there. Okay. Here we're talking about. See over here? This is the corner. Right, this is the corner where the hole so would go through here.
That's where it's splashed above.
Okay. Yeah. This is the ramp. Ramp was constructed to the south of the altar. Here. This is what we're talking about over here, the altar, right? This is it over here, right? Here's the ramp. This is the south, this is the north, that's the west, that's the east.
Where's the nostrils?
In this picture, you can't see it. See, you see it? Because it's not a picture of the, it's not a picture of the altar, it's a picture of everything. So you don't see the.
The altar's to the east.
So it was constructed, its length was 32 cubits, its width was 16 cubits. It consumed 30 cubits on the ground adjacent to the altar, right, for the ramp to go on an angle, and extended further, covering 1 cubit of the base and 1 cubit of the surrounding ledge. Right here. So there was a small space between the ramp and the altar, so that the limbs of the sacrifices would have been tossed to reach the altar.
So he could,
Okay. The height of the ramp was 9 cubits minus a sixth of a cubit. It equaled that of the surface on which the wood of the sacrifice is arranged. So here we have. Okay, this is a good diagram. Okay, so this is 16 wide, 32 on an angle, 30 like this. You get, There's a small ramp over here that's leading to the Shittim over here. The surrounding ledge. This is the horns in each corner. This was space along here for the Kohanim to walk. In the middle over here was the fire with the sacrifices. I'm not certain, but I think we'll probably get there. Here's the ledge that we spoke about that goes around. See how it goes around. See, this was only 16, so that it gave room to put a ledge over here that they walked around this side all the way, right by the G, right, which is about about six handbreadths high. The scarlet band is over here halfway. This is the base. And the Shittim over here where the blood went. I don't know. We're going to do it right now in 14.
Oh.
2 small ramps extended from it. One led to the base, and other to the surrounding ledge. They were set off from the altar by a hairbreadth. So here, right, this is small ramp that led to the ledge and to the Shittim. There was
So basically it was 2 ramps.
an aperture on the west side of the ramp, a cubit by cubit. It was called the Revuva. Their fowl that had been disqualified for use of a sin offering would be placed until their form decomposed, at which time they would be taken out to burn, because they were holy. So they became disqualified, so they needed to be decomposed in order that they can be taken out.
It's called the hollow place.
You're right.
There were 2 openings. Okay, that's where the blood.
Okay. 2 tablets were placed on the left side of the ramp, one of marble, 2 tables rather, not tablets. I say tablets. Thinking about the 10 Commandments here. 2 tables were placed on the left side of the ramp. Here, number 31 over here, you can see the 2 tables over here. This is on the left side of the ramp, right? See the green 2 tables? That's the ramp. One of marble, on which the limbs of the sacrifice to be offered in the altar were placed, and one of silver, in which the sacrificial vessels were placed. When we build the altar, it must be made as one solid block resembling a pillar. No empty cavity may be left at all. We must fill whole stones, both large and small. Then we must create a liquid with lime, pitch, and molten lead, and pour it over the stones into a large mold on its dimensions. We must build it in a manner of ascending level by level. It's first 32, then 30, then 28, and 24, right? That's what it means. We must place a block of wood or stone at the southeast corner of the structure, each to measure of the missing portion of the altar's base. Similarly, blocks must be placed in each horn until the building is completed. Then the blocks must be removed from the structure, just leaving the southeast corner without a base and the horns hollow. Okay. The four horns, the base, and the square shape are absolute requirements of the altar. Any altar which lacks either a horn, a base, a ram, or a square shape is unfit to use, for these four are absolute requirements. However, the measures of length, width, and height are not absolute requirements, provided that they are not less than a cubit by cubit in area and 3 cubits high. The latter were the dimensions of the surface of which the wood of the sacrifices are arranged in the altar in the sanctuary that accompanied the Jews in the desert. The following laws apply when the structure of the altar is damaged. If a handbreadth of its structure is damaged, it's unfit to use. A handbreadth. If less than a handbreadth is damaged, it's acceptable, provided none of the remaining stones are damaged. Psh.
Bravo.
Excuse me.
Keep it sweet.
Let's just do the first halacha. The design of the menorah is explicitly stated in the Torah. Central shaft of the menorah had 4 goblets, 2 bulbs, and 2 flowers. As it says, the menorah shall have 4 os goblets together with the bulbs and the flowers. The third flower was close to the menorah's base, and to its base, to its flowers. All right. And when we did Chumash. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Have an amazing, great day. God bless.